Hey, it's Michael here, founder of Audyx, and today I'm going to show you the 10 key drivers we review when you do an anonymous company-wide audit with us here at Audyx. So when I was putting this together, I was like, okay, what would be the most helpful for every CEO, founder, leader to know about what's happening in their business? And if you know a little bit about my own story, is I lived 10 weeks within a fintech startup where I actually got to experience a lot of this myself, seeing the good, the bad, the in-between, becoming friends with so many people and realizing we all knew so much about how we could really grow the company, scale it smarter, faster, hit the goals that the top level people wanted, but they were using ways that didn't quite get us there or wouldn't get us there because, as you also know, they chose not to extend me. So let's jump right into this. The first 5, so there's 10 in total that we go through, are accelerated revenue growth. This one being really important to start off with, and I know if you are a leader, will catch your idea because this is what you need. You want to accelerate that revenue. And that was a huge pain point and not an issue, but something that was really important in the startup I was in recently, as well as every startup I've worked with, business owners all over. But it effectively reviews your company and how you drive your sales, how you offer things to your customers, and really captures market opportunities. So that one is a huge one of, are we doing everything we could be doing? How do you, as an internal employee, see that we could actually be doing some things different to get more money? And even some of the basic questions of do you even know how your business makes money? Which may sound stupid to you if you're a leader, but you need to know, does your team actually understand how everything works? And that's how a lot of this is geared. It's simple, but from what we get from this, we really know for yourself as the leader, where do we go from here? So 2, optimize team performance, assesses their productivity, role clarity in the systems that they use to work their best. So are you giving them the right tools to actually do their job the most efficient way they can, the most productively? Or are you internally slowing things down, which is affecting the whole team, making them less productive in what they're doing? Or maybe they have a title, but you're making them do so many other things, they don't really know what they're there to do. They're feeling overburdened, probably not getting paid enough. This is all things we find out through that section. The third one, strategic decision making. It evaluates the leadership's ability to set clear direction, prioritize effectively, and adapt quickly. And this one is huge if you are a startup. And that in particular is who I'm really looking to help, but this will be helpful in any business, because if you cannot make those strategic decisions of how to push your business forward, especially, here's an example with AI. AI is taking over everything. Have you brought that into your business? Do all your teams understand how technology is changing and how they need to implement that into their own day-to-day? And that's up to you as a leader to set that direction and then make sure it actually goes out to the team effectively. That's the hard part, And then from there, 4, reduced operational costs. This is one of my favorite things because I'm always why are we doing all this? We could be saving so much money. So inefficiencies, waste, opportunities to streamline processes, automate things, going in line with what I just mentioned about AI, the different agents, the tools that are out there. This will help a lot of you, but at the same time, there are so many different AI companies out there, and they're all going to be pushing for your attention. And so all of a sudden, you're like, man, we're a little behind. We need to streamline. And then you are buying all these different tools, which in itself is actually not helpful, and you're spending way more money than you should, as well as maybe you're using outdated systems, and you just use it because that's how you learned when you were in the lower levels. But now that you're at top, you don't know what your team is doing so much when it comes to the operations, and this is what you need to know. And then finally, 5 for this part 1 is faster innovation, measures how quickly and effectively new ideas move from the concept to the real world and the impact it will have. And this is something also in a startup you really need to know. You may think you are great at innovating, but what does your team think? Are you bringing them into this process? Do they actually know what to do within all of this? Can they be effective in doing that? Because if so, they can actually push your business forward way faster than you could on your own, especially when your team feels like they are a part of these decision makings where you ask them for their ideas and then you actually follow through and you say, hey, this is a great idea. I'm a leader and you are someone I'm leading, But that's not to say that you have great insight and direction that we can actually use to help everybody out. So I like all of them, but that is one in particular, of course, I like. And then the last 5 for closing out what our like standard company-wide audit is would be scalable culture. This one's really important because I'm looking to work with companies that have 50 to 250 employees, and you need to know, like, is what you have actually going to stay there as you add in the next 50 employees? Maybe you're right at the 200, and 200 to 250, you're like, I already made it to 200, that's fine. Well, no, adding 50 more people, like, that will change the dynamics of everything. So you need to know, do you have a culture that is going to stay strong, that's aligned and connected as you continue growing? Do you even have a good culture? Which, I've been in a lot of businesses, and some do, some also do not, where you're like, the culture is work harder and then you'll get a smile, or you won't get fired. Maybe you'll get a promotion, but it's probably dangled in front of you based on, if we get this level of revenue, we'll do this. And that's not culture. That's something completely different. So this one, it may not seem huge, but at the end of the day, workers, they're there for money, yes, of course, but they're also there for the culture, for the community. And if you have got a strong company culture, they will stay there even if you are not able to pay them the highest amount of money. Give them the best benefits. But if they feel like they belong, that they're connected, they believe in your mission and values, yes, you will have a strong team and a strong business. From there, team dynamics, it looks at the trust, collaboration, and communication between the different teams. How is that going? Do teams get along? Where I was at before, the teams were not on the same page. So sales was doing one thing, marketing another, and they didn't know, like they had calls together, but it still was not in line. And then the upper leadership, the C-level, was also different from these two teams. And it was just like going around of, we need to do this. This is what we see in the field. Well, this is what we're being told to create. And then, no, we don't want to create that. And like going back and forth and back and forth. And like the team dynamics were not there. And that's a huge thing, because my idea for that business, if I had been brought back in to do the consultant, which I'm now doing with many of you, is like, we all need to get in a room or virtually, and we all just need to talk with one another and figure out, how do we want our team dynamics to be? How can we communicate better so that we can help everybody out? We work less, we work hard, work less, get more done, get more money at the end of the day. From there, onboarding, how are your new hires equipped? How are they supported and integrated and brought into the company? That's a huge one. I built out the onboarding with the first startup I was at, and I loved it so much. I actually really like the user experience, the UX, for anything I build, because I can put myself in someone else's shoes and say, what would I want from this if I was the new one? Knowing what I know now, how can we build this out? What I've learned, though, in many jobs is that onboarding is not prioritized. It is messy, it is sloppy, it is outdated. And you need to know that if you really want to grow your company, you cannot do that efficiently or well if you don't have good onboarding. And your team will know. Like every job I've been in, if you ask me, oh, how was your onboarding for this job? I would tell you flat out, it was great. It was awful. It was non-existent. Learning on YouTube instead of being connected with teams that could actually help me. Last two, retention. It pinpoints what will actually keep your best people there and what will cause them to leave. So this is one I'm always interested in too, because it touches back with the culture, but also the dynamics of how you're running your business. If they were offered a job that paid a little bit more, would they drop everything and go? If you have poor results in most of these up till now, the answer is yes. For $5,000 more, if they could get a better company culture where they feel like they're going to be looked after and the leader actually cares for them, they will do that. Well, guess what? They would probably also receive a little bit less money and would still move over. If you have such a toxic workplace where the leadership does not know what's going on, or they're making wrong decisions, making people redo work because they have a different vision than what the company vision is, there's a lot there. But at the end of the day, as a leader, you want to know, how do I keep my best people? And of course, there will always be turnover. And a lot of people have told me, Michael, startups are built so that they just run through people and bulldoze them. And they know going into it, we're going to have a lot of turnover. And while yes, that is true with a lot of businesses, if you are a leader going into a business thinking that, who cares? We're going to lose a lot of people and I'm going to underpay them, overwork them. That's just how it is. I would say, I don't want to work with you. You're not who I'm looking to work with, because I thought for a while like that is how all these startups are, but I've worked with other startups. I've talked with tons of founders that they truly do care for their business, for their customers, for their workers. And in order to care about your business and truly take care of your customers, you need to care about retaining your team, your employees, who is making up your very business. As well as, I don't know if you know, but when I was in the previous company, we'll say it like that, I looked up everyone who was grayed out in our Slack channel and in our HubSpot, and I found them on LinkedIn. And guess what? Probably like half of them were working for competitors. They knew everything company A did, and they were let go, they left, they were fired. I don't know the reason why they left, but they brought all of that knowledge to company B, who is a direct competitor. And if that does not scare you, I don't know what will. You know, if you can't get on board with like seeing why your team matters, then let it relate to the revenue, your secrets being washed down the drain, taken, stolen, and given to another company. Even if they've signed contracts, they have ideas in their mind that maybe they don't speak it, but they're going to be doing things differently, a step up from where you're doing it, because maybe the leaders over there actually value their input and what they have to say. So this is a huge one, if you did not know. And then lastly, communication. This was one that when I was brainstorming it, it was, left off, but I put it back on because what I saw recently was like, at the end of the day, most things in life, most relationships, friendships, marriages, best friends, work experiences, leadership to employee to boss, all of that, if we had better communication, everything would be so much smoother and would go so much better. So this one examines the clarity, transparency, and flow of information across all levels of the organization. So how is it within your team does the leader actually give good communication of what's happening, or do they just push forward and hope that you catch up along the way? That's something I've seen in a lot of businesses, that leaders don't realize that when you're a smaller company, everybody knows everything and communication gets around very easily. Because if you tell one person, they'll share it with the other person at lunch, across the hall, across the cubicles. But as you get bigger and bigger, that is not the case. What you know up here, maybe the middle managers right underneath, maybe they know, but the people at the bottom, underneath them, and at the very, very bottom, the guppy salesman, like I was, like that does not get through to us unless these people are fighting to know what's happening. And then that causes a lot of tension, a lot of problems, because why do you want to know? And then who do you ask for these questions? What is too much to ask? What is not enough to ask so that you can do your job correctly? And you have pressure coming at you. And I'm like, man, you guys, I'll tell you right here, here's a freebie. Your leader, you as a leader, if you're watching this, you should have systems in place for regular communication. You probably have one-on-ones with everyone, but how about all of your leaders? Do you all sit together and talk about what's happening in your departments? How about all hands meetings? Do you have that? It could be once a month, once a quarter. Go through what you accomplished, what you're aiming for, where you fell short, what you could do better, but you also need to be encouraging your team. And if you as the leader can be strong with your communication and be seen as that leader who is leading everything forward, you will do so much better with all of these sections within your business so that you can actually scale faster and smarter. So we just went through the 10 key drivers that we review in our standard anonymous company-wide audit. If you're interested in how this actually relates to your business, if anything I said is like, ooh, I would actually like to know a little bit more about that, then let's talk. Let me know. Let's jump on a call. I'm here ready to work with you. Emphasis on with you, that we are going to work together on this. We can add additional questions, add additional sections. I mean, at this moment, this will take your team about an hour to go through, but guess what? I've got employee package ideas set up so that we can actually incentivize, reward them, which makes you at the end of the day look better because this is your team. So going through this not only gives you this information, but if you do it how I'm imagining it and how I've set it up, you will create retained employees with a stronger company culture, with better communication and leadership because you show that you care for them. You are rewarding them. You're thanking them at the end of the day for all the work they have given you. So if this sounds great, let's talk. If not, share it with your friends who are CEOs, founders, and leaders, and I would love to get in touch.